Let me share my screen. Actually, I have come up with some slides for you guys. Good evening, everyone. Hope you are all doing good today. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, great. As you all know, today's topic is artificial intelligence, ethics, socio-legal transformation. The intersection of artificial intelligence, ethics, and socio-legal transformation is very complex and evolving. There is no established guidelines, procedures to talk about it. What we are talking today is as on date. It's rapidly evolving as the technology itself is new. So, to considering the course's topic is law and transformation with reference to contemporary issues, I will be taking you through the today's agenda. So, we will touch upon what is AI. AI is a technology, right? So it's very broad. So I'm trying to give you a layman terminology or explanation of what an AI is, and then what is the change that it is bringing in with its disruption, with specific reference to certain sectors like legal, healthcare, and employment related sectors. Once we have these positive outcomes, it doesn't mean that there are no challenges at all. There are certain challenges and issues and risks that we will touch upon today. Probably a bird's eye view. There is a lot of discussion that is going on, but today we will talk about broadly onto what are the ethical issues that we are currently facing with respect to use of this technology, and what are the legal challenges that or the problems that we are talking about. When there is a social transformation in a technology centric society, like all of us are tech savvy, right? So we are using smartphones, we are using internet. Like 80% of our country is aware about using technology, the basic technological features including internet. When we have this huge usage, the risks are already visible. So how do we control such risks or impacts is through bringing in some control on its usage, development, or deployment. So that law being a means of social control, I will touch upon how the world at large and India in specific is trying to regulate this particular area, and making sure that the development using AI is more on a positive side rather than negative, considering fostering the ethical use of AI and also bringing in some regulations which will help in countries' development along with individual developments. With this, I just want to understand if you guys, I'm sure all of us are using AI in one way or the other. Do you guys have any definitions in mind, or would you like to give some examples of how AI is being used? Okay. Uh, when we use smartphones, right? So when we are using the facial recognition for locking our phones, or when we are tracking the locations, when we are changing the avatar, newest features on WhatsApp, these are all AIs, application of AIs, you know. And when we are doing online searches, when we are doing online shopping, the recommendations that we get, the moment we select a particular product, there are thousands of similar recommendations that will ease our shopping effort, right? So that is AI recommendations. And then there are Alexa and Siri are some chatbots which are part of our lives now. You know, every morning we get up and we ask Alexa to do our work, you know, thereby creating like ease in our works, day-to-day life activities. And there is something called as selfless driving cars also, which are in discussion. Not many countries across the globe have approved, but it is going to be AI driven whenever it is approved. So these are few examples of AI. Now let's understand what is artificial intelligence in the simplest form. So artificial intelligence may be something that is giving the impact now. We are realizing how AI is changing our lives, but the effort or the research on AI, that is artificial intelligence, started way back in 1950s. It was when an Alan, a mathematician, started a research on whether machines can think. Interesting, right? So whether machines can think was the topic of his research paper, and through algorithmic researches and all, he could sense that machines can also think. So artificial intelligence is nothing but a technology which mimics human intelligence. What it does is artificial intelligence is a process of enabling machines to make human-like decisions. It's a technology that mimics human intelligence, which is similar to that of humans. It is powered by technology. It requires data. How AI works is we have to train the data. It has to sense the surroundings. How observe the scenarios. We have to feed data in the form of images, in the form of speech, in the form of videos, in the form of text. It will analyze all that data and then recognize the patterns and arrives at the recommendation. This is how basically AI works. This is the pattern the technology works. We have to feed the data, it will understand, analyze the data, and it will throw the recommendations. There are AIs which self-learn, meaning it won't follow the instructions that we have given to it. In addition, it will learn on its own when it starts using the product or when it starts getting the data. Mimicking human intelligence by AI can be compared to the simplest example of toddler learning from its parents and on the social behaviors. Similarly, AI will also learn from the data that we feed onto it, right? So we need data to train that particular AI model. The more accurate, the more clean, the more quality data we use to train the AI, the better product, the better outcomes, the better recommendations that it will provide. We say that, right? So toddlers are a mirror image or replica of what parents' upbringing is. Similarly, the kind of data that we feed onto that AI will define whether an AI is successful or it is not, whether it is good for society or not. So then what is AI, which is kind of current, which is mandatory for AI to function, right? Data is the new currency. Data is the fuel for AI system. So we need data for AI to function. It needs food in the form of data to digest and to give you outcomes or recommendations or perform the instructions that you have given to it. So a technical definition of data is any and all facts, statistics, values, and all the individual pieces of information we have. Okay. So with data, we will talk about it in more detail when I'm talking about the concerns. But data, as you know, can be both personal and non-personal data. Personal data is something that identifies an individual. Rest of the data is non-personal data. So maybe you are already aware that Google, Facebook, and Microsoft, all of the AI platform owners have our data already. Not necessarily personal data, even our judgment, our choices, the way we decide, the way we choose products online, it has all that data. And that big data is being analyzed to create new products. Data, why they call data is the new currency. If you have the data, you can analyze and understand people's mindset and come up with products that suit those requirements, thereby helping in making economic development of that particular individuals. So let's talk about, since we know AI is nothing but a technology which mimics human intelligence, like which behaves like human beings, when we train that with certain guidelines or instructions, etc. Let's understand few of the quick examples on how AI is being already used for human betterment, for efficiency purposes, for scaling, etc. Let's start with legal sector. The Supreme Court of India in 2019 has set up some AI committee to explore options to use AI for human administration of justice. So in 2021, they launched this AI portal called as SOPACE. SOPACE stands for Supreme Court Portal to Assist Court Efficiency, Live Transcription, etc. So what this tool does is it is exclusive use for the presiding officers of Supreme Court as of now. So you can understand that by the time a case file moves from trial court to Supreme Court, the volume of documentation that it will carry, right? So this AI will analyze all the pages of the documents and come up with the accurate facts. What are the issues at hand? What are the challenging facts? What are the evidences that have been proved? And what is the precedents in those particular scenarios for judges' perusal, thereby allowing him or her to make decisions without wasting time on going through all the documentations. Similarly, current Chief Justice of India, Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, is pro AI, and he's been coming up with these initiatives on a regular basis. One such recent initiative is he has launched live transcription of Constitution bench proceedings. Whenever there is a Constitution bench proceeding that's coming up, going live, then there is a live transcript that will be flashed on Supreme Court portal and also outside of the court premises. And they are also thinking about using AI to translate the documents, court documents. Most of the court documents are in vernacular languages. They want to translate it to English, and English or judgments, etc. They want to translate it to vernacular languages so that it reaches every nook and corner of India. So these are very impressive examples that Supreme Court has already implemented and using. Other parts of implementation are in the field of compliance, which is corporate companies like all the corporate companies, if they are interested. In companies, compliance becomes more highly regulated in few industries like finance, healthcare, where critical information is involved, right? So they have a lot of regulations that they need to comply with. So what these AI solutions do is they will give you what are the legal requirements or compliance requirements that a particular company, depending on its scope of business, has to comply. And it also does the gap analysis. Where are the company's compliance requirements and what they have to achieve in a particular time span. And it also helps them achieve those time spans, thereby reducing like infringement actions, etc., helping companies to be compliant with the applicable laws. Another one is in the contract review life cycles. What happens is in big organizations, there will be thousands of contracts that get executed every day or every month. Monitoring them or tracking them on manually becomes impossible. Though it is possible, it will require a lot of human resources to do it. So what these AI solutions do is they will track all the contractual obligations. They will also track what are the milestones for a particular contract, payment obligations, when a particular payment needs to be based. Because generally, if you know that contracts are like time and material based, after one phase is complete, X amount of price needs to be paid, etc. All that will be tracked by this AI solution, and they will give a reminder, you are due for payment, your milestone or a service level agreement has been met, etc., thereby making the life of corporates very easy. And this action is with accuracy. There is no scope for missing out on milestones, thereby helping to make the contracts more effective and then more successful in nature whenever its implementation is coming. At least most of the IT companies have this solution in-house to track all of their internal contracts and clients' contracts. I'm sure legal research and other things like Manupatra, all of you must be using it. So this is also AI driven. So the moment you put a topic or if you put a concept, it will throw all the results relevant to that, right? So imagine if you had to do that manually, it would have consumed more time. So it is bringing in efficiency. Similarly, there are AI solutions, not very prominent, but who can predict the case in a particular scenario. If you feed the data, right, this is the fact, what will be the outcome. So you can prejudge basis the AI with the use of AI. But how successful that will be is we have to wait and watch. Next sector is health. Please feel free to ask questions in case you have any doubts. But I am planning to give Q&A at the last because this is new topic. I'm sure you guys will be curious to know a few more additional aspects about it. Next one is health sector. So when we talk about health sector, right? So the AI is being basically used in three ways. Health is a huge industry. What they are doing is, first usage is in terms of diagnosis and treatment. Diagnosis and treatment, in the sense, let me give you an example, that AI is used to analyze the images of a malignant tumor and assess or diagnose whether it's a cancer or not. And a study shows that 2019 study, the accuracy provided by AI is more than a radiologist as per records. So we can go through. This is also bringing in a social aspect of it, that imagine 5 years or 10 years down the line, if somebody has to go through or even get diagnosed for cancer in Tier 2 cities, it was not possible. It was only in metro cities or outside of India that we could even think about getting diagnosed or getting treatment for cancer. But AI is making it simple and making it affordable. They also say that the Harvard School of Public Health, right? It's also one of the schools which also conducts these kind of researches. And what they are saying is, using AI to make diagnosis may reduce treatment cost by up to 50% and improve health outcomes by 40%. Amazing, right? So it is making treatment also affordable. If you have to go through medical professionals, there will be human intervention. Don't think that AI is going to completely take over diagnosis and treatment, etc. But human intervention will be only at the final stages, etc. But this is definitely going to make treatments for most of the diseases very affordable to all middle class people or people who can't afford the high quality treatments, etc. Second area of usage of AI is in patient engagement. So when I say patient engagement, there will be certain diseases opposed to which you need to take care of certain things. You need to monitor your weight, you need to monitor your cholesterol levels, you need to reduce some weight, etc. What these AI based tools, maybe you already know, there are a lot of apps on mobile phones as well, which will give you recommendations on what to eat, and they will control your diet, sugar levels through that. They will give you a reminder if you have not walked for a certain time. All these are AI driven apps. This is where people engagement is being used. Third one is administration. So if you know healthcare industry to some extent, you will know that coming up with a drug is a huge process. The clinical trial itself will take a minimum of 8 to 10 years, which involves a lot of stages of monitoring, tracking the data. Whenever we experiment something, it has to be accurately tracked if your drug needs to be approved after those clinical trials. There was a scope for human error, but now with AI, the time span has reduced, the accuracy has increased, the drug efficiency has doubled, and then the drug comes to market 2-3 years before what it used to be. Another administration purpose is, as I said, the compliance related aspects, right? If there are a lot of HIPAA related requirements, health portability, that's a law in US, which asks a lot of security related requirements for companies which produce drug, which sells drug, etc. We have softwares or AI tools which takes care of all those compliance requirements. So this is in broad about how AI is used in healthcare industry. If you analyze all these examples, etc., right, it is actually helping human beings to avail all the facilities at a reasonable cost, and coming up with a drug, on a much faster pace, which means that we are also getting in competition with all the developed countries, etc. And next one example is on the employment. I'm sure whenever even a layman will think, whenever we talk about AI, the first preconceived notion that comes up is AI is going to take away our jobs. AI is going to replace human beings, right? That's quite common. When AI does most of the work, then obviously there is AI can be held by only a couple of people, and they will rule over the economic scenarios, and the unequal distribution of wealth is a picture that we can imagine, thereby leading to fall in economy also. Along with unemployment, there is unequal distribution of wealth. That concept comes in. But to be honest, that's not the use of AI, and that is not going to happen. Even if AI is, it's a established principle, right? AI is here to stay. What we need to do is we need to adapt to it. We need to adjust to it. We need to grow with it. There is no exception that AI can be replaced or AI can be withdrawn from the society. It is here to stay. What we need to do is we have to mold it in such a way that it is used only for human development and not for human destruction. And I would like to give you an example of World Economic Forum study, which was conducted in 2020. What they say is AI would likely take away 85 million jobs globally by 2025. It would also generate 97 million new jobs in fields ranging from big data, machine learning to information security and digital marketing. So what we understand from this study is we are going to get away with the repetitive tasks which can be done by AI. We are going to automate stuff, thereby minimum quality jobs will be removed from the industry. What we are left with is we have to upskill. There is lot of ample of opportunity. If you see 85 million versus 97 million job opportunities, it is huge. It is going to be in surplus. There is no scope for unemployment. But where is the key is in skill development. You have to develop skills relating to the adjust to the new technology in the form of information security, digital marketing, big data, etc. So with this, we can safely say that AI is here for human development. AI plus human beings means scaling the products, automating the repetitive task, making it cost effective, and making it efficient. When we say it is actually improving the quality of life, AI is helping us to be lead a more quality life. But along with this, it's not foolproof. It is not only comes with positive aspects. There are certain risk. I would not say these are problems which cannot be solved, but there are certain risks or impacts with the use of AI, which we need to be careful and address it, since it's a technology that is still evolving on a daily basis. So we still have time on it. Let's understand what those negative impacts of use of AI or the problems associated with use of AI. Have you guys, I'm sure you guys might have heard about ChatGPT, right? It's a generative AI which will help you plan. It can do anything for you. It's not industry specific. When we say generative AI, it's industry agnostic. It can be used anywhere and everywhere, even for individual purposes. It will help you plan better vacations. It will help you draft your research papers. It will help you come up with the recommendations. If you are doing some research, it will give you accurate information on the details, etc. Still, it is and it was banned in a couple of countries like Germany, Russia, China, because of source of data, the bias it involved. Because when we don't know from where that data is coming, randomly they have just training the chat GPT. There was a scope for bias as well. So many countries banned it temporarily to experiment and ask ChatGPT, that is OpenAI, to come up with different regulations and be transparent in what they are using, what they are doing with the technology. So that means though AI is very useful, it can also come up with certain risks. Those risks basically I have categorized into, considering today's topic, into ethical concerns and then legal concerns. When we say ethics, it's value based, right? So value based meaning we expect AI to be transparent. We expect AI to be trustworthy. We want it to be unbiased. We want it to perform. We want to hold its acts accountable. That is the ideal world that we are seeing. But when actually we are using AI, there are certain inherent issues that it comes up with, which I will highlight now, and then I'll probably take you through the mechanisms that people are talking about reducing or mitigating those risks. First one in this case is bias. Let's take bias. Bias can be two ways. One, the data you feed in can be biased, because AI is a machine at the end of the day. Whatever data you feed in, it will take that info and then analyze it and give you the recommendation. There is no law as on date. The laws are under progress as to regulate that quality data. And the data needs to be refined, data needs to be accurate, data needs to be clean before it is fed into the system. So there is a requirement for a law which guides those data before that is fed into an AI. Another one is algorithmic bias, the bias which can be inbuilt within an AI solution itself. This is a technical topic. Let me give you an example what it means. A multinational company, it's actual fact, right? So a multinational company used machine learning AI model for hiring purposes, recruitment purposes. Whenever you submit job applications or profiles, there is somebody who in HR who will be refining those. That used to take many human efforts, right? So what they did was they tried to do that with the help of AI. They trained the AI with actual data of 10 years of that company of all successful candidates. So AI understood the data, analyzed the data. In the process, what it picked up from the data is, in that 10-year successful candidates, men were in majority or women were nil or very few. So by itself, it learned and picked up the fact that men to be rated higher, men are more successful in the job description than women, and it accordingly gave less ratings to women. Though company did not intend to create any bias, the algorithm itself learned on its own and created bias. This is something that is against fairness or transparent and etc. Right? So this needs to be addressed. And next one is on deep fakes. So I'm sure you might have heard about deep fakes. It is nothing but technology which can be used to imitate the images, imitate the voice modules, imitate the videos of people, and give positive or negative feedback about that person or somebody else for their own good or bad. Recently, that happened with Elon Musk when there was a fight between Elon Musk and Facebook regarding certain issues. What he said was the video that he released is not his, it is deepfake. The technology is so advanced that you cannot make out if it is actually Elon Musk in the video or it is deepfake or somebody else created that video. Thereby, it also touches upon freedom of speech and expression, right? If you are talking on my behalf without my consent, that's also something which we need to address. Another one example is black box of AI. This is again technical. What happens in black box of AI is it is inherent defect in the technology. What happens here is when we use an AI, what we get is an outcome, a result, a recommendation. What we don't get is explanation for that outcome. Like in the above example, what I said about hiring, it gave rating for of a similar experience two candidates, 1 7 another 6, but it won't give you an explanation as to why he gave 6 to the person with similar experience as that of 7. That explainability criteria is missing in certain machine learning modules, that it is called as black box of AI. So we need to address this because this is not giving any fair explanation about how choices the company or anywhere that AI is used, right? So there are also scenarios where it will affect the transparency aspect of it. If you are making certain decisions, give explanation for that decision, reasoning for your decisions, right? That's missing in few of the AI modules. That's something we need to understand and address before we evolve the ethical use of AI. And next one would be on the safety or the security. Like we are talking about driverless cars, right? So imagine a driverless car on Indian roads, it's a little scary, right? We human beings ourselves are not able to drive efficiently. Then using AI without any instructions, AI driven cars without any instructions is scary. So it is threatening the security and safety of human beings. These are some technologies that needs thorough investigation, or modified or totally banned if it is going to affect human development. So with this, probably we now have a fair idea as to what those ethical concerns looks like. They are basically touching upon transparency, explainability, accountability. In that driverless car, if it kills a person, who should be held liable? That's who should be held accountable. Those are things that are still open. So those are raising the ethical concerns when we are using AI. Next one is on the privacy. It's also part of legal concern, but since the privacy, data and AI are inbuilt, one cannot function without the other, especially AI cannot function without data. I have come up with privacy as a separate concern. So what it means is we do have privacy related regulations in place, well established within most of the developed nations. Even India has come up with the latest data privacy law this year. We are yet to explore on how it is going to be implemented and all, but we still have some law, comprehensive law on data privacy in India. What it is missing is the privacy is considered from a aspect of how an individual is violating my privacy, how a government is violating my privacy. Now we have to think about how an AI is violating my privacy and how I can control it or claim action against it if it is violating my privacy. Those additional aspects are some things that we are still exploring and finding a solution to it. When we say privacy, it is considering the personal data. There is also an angle of non-personal data, the data that is used. The big data analytics is the technology term for it. So whenever we are shopping, whenever we are using Facebook, whenever we are using the Google frameworks, etc. Right? So whenever we are doing online searches, it is collecting certain type of data. It is collecting our freedom, our choices, the way we think, the way we are choosing the products, the quality we choose, basis that it is making some analysis and keeping it to themselves, and they sell that data, that output to the relevant people. Like if I'm shopping for a TV, all that data analytics will go to the TV manufacturers for a huge amount of money. This is affecting in two ways. There is no law to regulate this, and countries are working towards it. And the second one is, it is also because if I am using your data and data without my permission and somebody else is getting benefited, we are not getting benefited. So that's also concern in terms of societal values, right? So they will come and sell that product to us only at a higher cost. It's our own recommendations that we have given. They will develop according to our requirements and give us at a higher price, thereby giving us a chance, scope for thinking about how do we regulate it and make there should not be any difference between how a product is developed and how individual choices we make. We should have the freedom to restrict it to ourselves, and we should have the freedom. There are certain user acceptance terms that pop up whenever you use these products or apps, but those are restricted only to privacy. Using my personal identifiable information, I say okay. But what about the other data that I'm giving out to them? That is something that we need to track. Even the location related aspects, it asks for, can I track your location? So it will have my data, where I stay. And I'm surprised, I'm sure few of you might have experienced, I just Googled for a product, and then when I went to a shop which sells that product, it gives me a pop-up on Google that you are looking for a product, this is where you can find it. That's strange, right? I didn't ask for it, but it is giving me recommendations. So there needs some regulation. It is good to some extent, but we need some regulations. That's where the privacy concern comes in. Next one is the legal concerns. Here I will be talking about two things. One, IP ownership. Another one is liability and accountability. Defining IP ownership in AI created products is complex. It can be complex because end of the day, AI learns from already existing IP, like copyrighted books or copyrighted materials or copyrighted images, photographs, videos, etc. And it will analyze that and create something of its own. Who owns that IP is an open-ended question. Because as per Indian laws, its IP is nothing but creation of a mind of a natural human being. We are yet to give status to some things like AI. So we need clarity on how they are going to address these things. Similarly, patent also. Patent is given only to an individual as on date. Even companies spend crores of rupees, but it is only the individual who is the authorized patent owner. He will further assign it, and there are protocols, but we are yet to understand and assess how AI ownership is going to be given. Next one is on the liability and accountability. So, as I said, driverless car hitting and killing someone, drones falling on somebody's head when it's flying due to some malfunction. We can also take, since AIs are also used for surgeries, certain specific surgeries which require accuracy, right? What happens if there is a malfunction? What happens if there is no internet disconnected, or there is no electricity? There are so many ifs and buts which because of the use of AI, because it may be used for better purposes, but it malfunctions at certain point, or it can on its own do some work which is not in favor of human development. So we need to understand and give a certain liability, accountability to AI also. So how this is being addressed in current scenarios? This is the topic that people are still discussing and exploring about, right? So they are also thinking about giving legal status to AI, and punishments, etc., right? Fines, etc., cannot be. Even criminal liability is something that's been established. You don't require a intention for committing a crime. Even corporates can be held criminally liable. For similarly, AI also, what they are doing is it's just discussions at different forums. They are going to hold AI liable if it malfunctions. If it is not a huge risk, then they will ask the AI developer to cut short or remove that portion which is malfunctioning. If it is affecting the society at large, they are asking it to ban it completely. You cannot sell that product. So that's how they are coming up with some accountability principles, but there is no clear picture, or we don't have definite answers to this as on date. Okay. So with this understanding of the risk, or the probable risks or problems of using AI, most of the countries are working towards regulating this. On the next slide, we'll understand how different industries are trying to regulate this. Okay. So as you know, AI is a global phenomenon, right? It's not specific to a territory. AI is everywhere. AI developed in one country can be used globally without that AI being present in India. That's the depth of AI. So it has to be curtailed or tackled from an international level. So for that, what many organizations like United Nations, World Economic Forum, OECD, which stands for Organization for Economic Development, are all cooperation and development, are all coming up with these kind of different ideas on how do we regulate this at an international level. In that effort, OECD, that is Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, it's an intergovernmental organization which has around 67 member countries signed to it, to abide by its policies. It basically comes up with a policy after thorough investigation, understanding, or studying the different stratas of the society, different countries, and it comes up with a policy, which is a non-binding policy, but it is something that every member state has to implement by way of regulation or a law in their own countries. So all these regulations and bringing in implementing law will again depend on the socio-economic conditions of that country, economic conditions of the country, and do we need to implement that, etc. But end product is they have to, if they have signed up for this OECD membership, they have to come up with some law which guides those things. So what those policies are is flashed on your screen. Basically, they have come up with 10 broad principles, which are called as responsible AI principles. They are broadly divided into value-based principles, that is ethical way of looking at it, and another one is the recommendations for the policymakers, that is governments. Value-based principles are something which is mostly recommending any law on AI to be human-centric, value-centric, it has to be inclusive for sustainable growth. It should not lead to unequal distribution of wealth, and it should also come up with a transparency and explainability, the aspects that I just discussed previous slides, right? So what these principles are trying to say is, please, whenever you come up with a law, please make sure you bring in some aspects which will make the AI use and development for human good. We will make the developer of an AI responsible for acts of his or that of AI. And they also want to create some accountability. They are not giving what kind of accountability should be given for each use or development of AI, but they are giving a blanket scope for countries to define their own accountability or liability principles, as it depends on countries' conditions also. Important thing is recommendations for policymakers. So I was just talking about employment related things, right? So there is going to be new scope for development. There is going to be a lot of job opportunities. But what we need to do is upskill ourselves, upskill our citizens. We need to, many of us don't know what is digital marketing. For many, it's machine learning is new. So the World Economic Forum and the OECD understand those concepts, so they are recommending the states to invest in R&D, invest in skill development of its citizens, and provide a policy environment for AI. Like you come up with a law so that there is safe development and usage of AI, and there is no social or economic exploitation happening because of that. Basically, these are the principles that have been shared. I will be sharing this slide with organizers, and probably they will share it with you. This is for your educational purposes. So when I say OECD has come up with these policy documents comprising of 10 different principles broadly, different countries are approaching it with different ways. So what are those ways is what I'm going to talk in next few minutes. Basically, there are 4 ways in which countries are broadly. It's not that this is a strict rule or watertight compartment, but broadly many countries are trying to implement those principles in either of these things. First one is soft law guidance. What it means is they will come up with a non-enforceable guidelines or frameworks which will be published, and which AI deployment or development agencies or organizations have to comply with it. What it lacks is enforcement. What happens if they do not comply? There is no solution. It is just a non-enforceable guidelines for people to follow, because these are mostly trustworthy or ethical based guidelines or that OECD has come up with, right? Now, one such example is Australia's AI's ethics framework. What they've done here is they have copied the AI principle, value-based principles, and asking the developers or the users to follow it. But they have not described how what happens if they do not follow. Next one is regulatory experimentation. So this concept is basically comes with prevention is better than cure, right? So what they are doing here is, even before a AI product or AI solution is released into the market, the government itself will create a sandbox. Sandbox is an testing environment, which goes through a lot of reviews to understand if that product is beneficial for human good. Is it covering all the ethical value-based principles that the OECD has recommended? If it meets certain criteria, then only it will be released to the market. Else it will be asked to be rebuilt, or else it will be banned completely if it is not for social good. Next one is the hard law approaches. So what happens here is, this is a comprehensive law that we are all talking about. Comprehensive law meaning you can either come up with a comprehensive law, or you can amend the existing laws, right? So what we can do in case of IP ownership is, simply amend and give some status to AI. But if you are looking for accountability, explainability, etc., we need a comprehensive law, because it's not covered in any of the current laws, because AI is a new field altogether. So that aspect is covered here. So let me be honest, there is no comprehensive law across the globe as on date, but there are efforts being made. EU AI Act, EU means European Union, that is European countries, like 28 countries have formed their own union, and they are coming up with their own laws, regulations, which will govern all of the 28 member states. So they are coming up, they are the pioneers. Even in data privacy law, they were the one. GDPR, if you have heard of it. GDPR is first that developed that concept or framework of regulating the privacy related laws. And we followed, or we copied, or we, all of us, including we means India, all the developed countries, including US, followed GDPR EU. So EU is pioneering AI law framework also this time. It's almost reached the third or fourth stage of its review. We are expecting it to be enforced maybe in first quarter of FY24. However, there are, though we don't have comprehensive laws across the globe, there are sectoral laws. Sectoral laws meaning industry specific, or which are specific to an industry. Example given here is that of a New York regulation on sale of automated employment decision tools. I gave you an example of a multinational company recruitment process, right? It is something similar. They are trying to regulate that kind of a scenario here. What this law does is they are regulating the.
बहुत दिक्कत हो रहा है हमको। आप माने कुछ भी नहीं, इसी प्रकार बेकार काम करते हैं, शैतानी काम करते हैं। आपको मालूम है कि
Okay. Regulation on the sale of automated employment decisions. What it states, this law states, regulation states is, you can use these automated AI-based tools to for making employment decision making, but there has to be a human intervention at some point. After AI comes out with recommendation, someone manually has to review it to ensure there is no bias or something is missed out, there is no gender bias, etc. Third approach is outright ban. So few countries, when particular scope of usage is of AI in a field or a sector is not in favor of human beings, they are outrightly banning it. If it is not for human or society development, they are banning it so that it cannot be used in that area. One such example, it's very rare that countries have done this because it's new technology. We are yet to explore what are the advantages or disadvantages of it. However, Belgium has come up with such resolution to prohibit the use of lethal autonomous weapons by local armed forces. So as you know, lethal autonomous weapons will have its own impact in terms of, apart from the disruption it creates, there is also continued impact that it will have on the people surrounding that used area. So they have, in the interest of society, they have banned such usage. Now you may be curious to know how in India we are handling this, right? So India is also part of one of the member states of the OECD, and we are also obligated to come up with some laws, regulations in line with the principles that I flashed on the screen earlier. In 2018, the AI strategy, national AI strategy, was launched by the finance minister, and they called it as AI for all. This is actually in line with the current government's philosophy, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. So what they are trying to do here is they are investing on research and development of AI products. They are encouraging the startups to come and develop AI related technologies in-house. They are also releasing funds for skills development to certain sectors, so that they can upskill themselves to AI, to match the AI environment, and get to reduce the unemployment scenarios going forward. Because in maybe 5 years down the line, what current jobs we are doing, whether in all spheres of life, including legal, is going to change drastically. So they are preparing, the government is making an effort to prepare all of us to be ready for that occasion. That's why the skill development is also happening. They are also investing on use case scenarios. I'm sure you might have heard about Digiyatra. Digiyatra is a solution, AI solution, right? That is developed by government, Indian government. So it is still under testing. So what it does is it is trying to reduce the time and effort we spend on airports when we have to board a flight. So I'm sure all of you must have experienced. We spend minimum 3 to 4 hours on airports for security check or hour checks, passport verifications, etc. But with what this Digiyatra does is it uses certain features like facial recognition, scanners, etc. If you subscribe to this solution, what it does is your entry and exit to airport can be done within 15 minutes. And that's we already have an example like Finland, country like Finland, where you just need 15 minutes to enter an airport once you are into the airport. So what it does is if you just scan through yourself, it will through facial recognition, it will verify your passport. It will also scan your body for all the illegal things that you may be carrying, and you are out of the security checks, etc., in a matter of few minutes. So this is going to be a huge effort saving on the part of manual manpower used at airports. Also our like users point of view, time is saved, which can be used for better things. So these are the different areas or the efforts that government is making to enable us to be ready for AI world, to enable us to be the pioneers, if not the first ones, but want to be pioneers in coming up with different technologies which will be helpful for world at large, and we can also leverage. I'm sure you must be knowing AI played a crucial role in Chandrayaan 3 successful launch. Do you know that? So actually what happened is AI was the one which gave a signal of any obstacles or create the landscape for landing of Chandrayaan 3. That is why landing was so smooth this time, and it leading to successful landing on moon. So AI has its own advantages, and it is going to be used rampantly in India as well. We are the fifth largest economy. We want to be on top. Then we have to leverage AI. And that is one of the reasons why India is not taking any concrete steps to come up with concrete laws as on date or regulations as on date. It is trying to observe what rest of the world is going to do, what other regulations that other worlds are bringing. Accordingly, it tries to mold itself and reciprocate same obligation to all other countries. In the meantime, it is giving investing on research and development to its people, right? So developers are free to develop AI and experiment with the technology until a new law or regulation on how to build, how to develop is coming. It's actually breathing space for all the developers. So this is how AI is being perceived or regulated in India as on date. But there will be certain laws. We are signatories to the international treaties, and we are part of OECD members. So we will have to come up with some concrete law in future. But for now, we are taking a conservative step of observing what others are going to do. In the meantime, we are helping our people to build something on their own. Okay, so with that, I'm kind of summarizing what we discussed so far in the context of law and social transformation. So any transformation will have initial glitches, right? Though, like for example, when we brought in women reservation, it took some time to settle down. When we had industrial revolution, it took some time to settle down. So each revolution or each transformation will have its own glitches. Though it has huge amount of positive impacts, it will also have these glitches, which we need to address as a country, as a world, and move ahead with how to leverage this AI for human good. It is pretty much possible. So what we covered today is what is AI, how it is changing the way we live, the better quality of life with the example of legal, health, employment sectors. We also touched upon problems that we are facing because of the use of AI, which are not predominant, but however, they are important. So which basically is ethical, based on the value-based principles like bias, transparency, non-discrimination, explainability, accountability, etc. And we also touched upon privacy, how privacy, individual right to privacy is being violated or slightly violated, when we are using AI. IP ownership, accountability, liability clarifications that we are awaiting through the process we are going through. Once we have all this, law as a means of social control, we are also thinking in that direction. In that direction, I covered responsible use of AI principles by international organization, which are kind of a policy which all of us, meaning all the 67 countries, have to follow while implementing some law. How they are implementing that law is what I discussed in different ways: either amend the existing law or come up with a comprehensive law. And also they are coming up with different ways of adopting it. They are making few guidelines, some of them are doing sandbox trainings, some of them are also thinking about comprehensive laws, and few are trying to ban them, ban the scope of use in certain sectors completely, thereby ensuring that use of AI is not for human distraction but for human development. So with this, I'm also sharing these resource materials, which is going to be very useful whenever you have these kind of conversations. If you are a faculty in law, I highly recommend you to share this with your students. Or if you are a student, please make some time to go through these and equip yourself. As I said, employment sector, we are in legal also, we are going to change. We are no longer going to review the contract ourselves. There are AI that is going to use. So we need to upgrade ourselves to the changing times. So this can be one good opportunity for you guys. Even the way we work in law, even the practicing advocates have some support in terms of review research. Junior level jobs are getting, we are getting rid of them with use of AI in near future. So we have to think something out of the box. We have to upskill ourselves to the current requirements. So this can be a good start if in technology is something that interests you. With that, I'm open for questions. I'm expecting you guys will have a lot of questions. So that's why I'm ending my sessions and will explain further with the examples.
Madam, can I ask,
Yes, please.
is artificial intelligence a software or a database or a program?
It is all of it. It is much more than that. As I said, artificial intelligence is a combination of technologies. It is a database also, AI platform also, AI is a program also, AI is a software also, and AI can be a database as well. So anything that you can, anything that technology or an algorithm, basically AI is nothing but a algorithm or a rule based technology in a technical sense. So it covers all of it and much more. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Yeah. And further, AI can be a robot also, which you can buy and keep it at your home. AI can be an application also, which is not visible to you, but still you use it. That is the example that I gave you of smartphones, right? So you are using smartphones, but you don't know you are using AI. You don't know AI is giving you recommendations for the shopping you are making online. So those are all different aspects of use of AI.
Ma'am, there are a couple of comments and questions in the chat box.
Okay, I was sharing my screen. Let me see, please. Yeah. Okay. The legal field, which plays important part of social transformation through judicial activism, there is no way that AI can take over the human discretion and rational thinking for deciding of the cases. Yeah, you are right. So what it is going to do is, human beings are irreplaceable, right? So it is human intelligence. They are end of the day machines. We need human intervention. So that is why these laws, regulations we are talking about is to bring in some control over machines. You are right. When we are talking about these decisions, like I gave you an example of that Space AI tool, right? What it is going to do is going to help you in reducing your effort in going through those huge list of documents that you have. It is going to give you reduce your efforts. It is make you more efficient. You know, when I say that you use research-based tools like Manupatra, imagine if you have to go through a library and find case law for a particular topic. It is going to consume a lot of your time, energy, etc. With AI, that job is being reduced to minimal click of a button. You get all the accurate information. I agree, it is not going to replace human beings, but it is definitely going to be a greatest aid to human work. It is going to improve our quality of life. That is why Justice Chandrachud is talking about bringing in AI in every aspect of judiciary. Vulnerable sections are often misused by this. Doesn't it could be considered as sexual harassment? What is, 1 second, did I read it completely? That's completely fine that AI is the future in every industry, but I don't think it will make us more smart. Rather, it's making people dumb and lazy comparing to old generation. That's a perspective. So as I said, it is going to scale your ways. It is going to automate the repetitive tasks. Like if you have to do it yourself, the documentary job of adding the contracts that you have entered into on a portal, it is manual, right? That's not application of mind, etc. What it is going to do is going to help you, uh, it is going to help you to do that work much faster, so that you have time to do more creative things, more logical things, and more complex things perhaps. That is analyzing the case and applying the existing laws or the recommendations given by AI to your case and fight it effectively. More than comfort, the more destructive it is. Instagram is one of the examples where people don't know what to consume and what not. Yes, you are right. So, like, it's also self-regulation, right? So there will be a lot of content. What we consume is at our discretion. As I said, there are certain rules that are being discussed to regulate this big data analytics, like where we share a lot of info, right? But it is still work under progress. However, they are covering these personal information related aspects. But what kind of data we can stop uploading, what is the data that we are going to refine or uh, only share what is required for consumption is very subjective. So it may take some time, but it can happen in future. But until that time, self-regulation is the only way that we have. Let me add some more points regarding the algorithm. As in context of social media, where the people are becoming suicidal in nature due to excessive use of Insta and watching reels, which reminds of them their bad past events, and it goes on the flow that triggers mind to be in depression. This is totally unrelated to the topic. So what we are talking about, Instagram is not something that is governed by AI. It is something, a model which uses AI provide recommendations. What we want, if your thought is towards suicide, then you search something on suicide, it will give you recommendations on suicide. But end of the day, it is a regulation, self-regulation that should kick in. But if you are vulnerable, etc., there will be laws in future, I'm assuming, but this is very subjective, right? So how do you can get a horse to a water, you can't make it drink. Similarly, there will be huge amount of data available on the internet, but what you consume, what you live is at your discretion. So that's an open question. Since there are chances of job being replaced by machines, what a law degree graduate should be equipped with in order to save oneself from this wrath? Okay, nice question. This is very, I expected this question. I'm happy that somebody asked this because this is the agenda for my personal agenda for coming to this session is also to give students an overview of what can be their other career options, right? It can be litigation, etc., is not going to be replaced. Even we will have senior counsels, we will have high court judges, Supreme Court judges, everything will remain as is. What AI will bring in is the efficiency. But if you are thinking about other jobs, right? So there are different ways in which you can equip yourself. So, for example, if you want to be a lawyer in AI, compliance or regulation or legal development, so what you can do is just understand what is going around, how world is treating. Probably those links that I shared will give you some idea. Because nobody has any degree in AI with special reference to law. There is no subject relating to AI when we are studying law. It's totally new. So person who is early bird in understanding and keeping abreast with what's happening will get a opportunity to work. Like for example, how we are hiring today is we are looking at a candidate if he is a learner. How do we know if he is a learner? If he has some knowledge about OECD, how world is trying to address AI misuse, etc. We just hire. They are capable to be trained, and we on the job they will get trained. So that's how we are going. So choose your area of interest where you want to be. If it is corporate, there are different ways. Data privacy itself is a big area. You can equip yourself with basic understanding of data privacy. There are courses that you can do on data privacy. Even on AI, there is some course that is being drafted. It's not yet out by the international organizations. Once you are through, once you have those certifications, you are already one level up in your career, and people or corporates will look for such kind of certifications and they will hire you. Hope that answers your question. Uh, Is there any way it is being implemented in banking sector? Yes, of course, yes. As I said, finance, banking also, like insurance also. It is being, there are different use cases in which AI is being used. But banking is highly regulated industry. I'm not sure where all is AI is being used in banking industry, but I'm aware that AI is being used in banking industry. Next one is, oh, you have covered all. Thank you. AI limited the creativity of normal human brain. Creativity here, I am referring to judicial creativity in the legal field, which plays important part of social transformation through judicial activism. There is no way that AI can take over the human discretion and rational thinking for deciding the cases. Yeah, I agree to you. I agree with you to some aspect, but the way you look at it also changes. As I said, AI is not going to take away your creativity. It is only here to make your work efficient, cost effective, and reduce the time you spend. Especially, I'm talking about litigation firms, right? So if you are litigating lawyer, these are the additional aids that you will get with the use of AI. End of the day, you are the one who will present the case. End of the day, you are the one who will interpret the outcomes provided by AI. What it is reducing is your research time. What it is reducing is giving you a pre-hand apprehension that this is something that you need to look at it. Probably you might not have gone through the precedents, all of them. AI will be able to give you precedent. If this is the case, probably look at this precedent. That's the a helping assistant role that AI will play. Yeah, I agree. It won't replace court or judicial system. Judicial activism will still continue. Like for example, since we don't have any law, if there is a AI, assuming it's just an example, assuming there is a IP were created by AI, then how are we going to hold that accountable? Assuming that driverless car hit someone in India, who should be held liable? It is through judicial activism. People will have to go surround the golden principles of constitution, equality, and freedom of speech and expression, right to life. and interpret accordingly to suit the current situation and hold the person who did that accountable. Currently also judicial activism is in place, and it will continue to be in place. Hope that answers your question. Do we need a regulation to reduce deep fakes? Many vulnerable sections are more often misused by this. Doesn't it could be considered as sexual harassment? What will be the changes faced by them? Challenges faced by them? How could we overcome it? Okay. So for now, let's assume that there is a deep fake which has led to sexual harassment. So we can use current existing laws and then bring in sexual harassment against the person who has done it. But the issue lies in identifying who has done it, which is almost impossible to trace. If somebody has created your video with changing your faces and made some statements which you against your morals, then probably that person should be held responsible. That is currently being done with the use of existing laws on IPC and other things. If it is within corporate levels, we have this Sexual Harassments at Workplace Act that we leverage to solve such kind of problems. But I agree there will be some laws that needs to be created around these deepfakes. But identifying who has done it is something that still needs to be cracked. Post that, probably we'll have some regulations. Okay, so did I miss anything? Impact of AI on the legal profession. Ma'am, as you said, AI will eat up 80 million jobs by 2025. Will it lead to decline of human intervention and jobs in this field? Or the legal field will witness a rise in the number of opportunities? Okay, I think I kind of answered this. I'm happy to elaborate this further. So, as I said, it is going to take away 80 million jobs. It is also going to create 97 million jobs, which is 20% extra than what it is current, right? So, when it comes to will this field lead to decline human intervention? No, it won't. As I said, it is going to only increase. The skill set you use in the field is going to change. You have to upskill yourself to the current scenarios. You should be conversant with using technology to come up with research, if you want to have an upper edge. If it is in case of corporates, then you have to equip yourself with the certifications that are available. Then you will be the hot cake in the industry, and people will fight to get you into their company. But definitely it is not going to reduce jobs even for lawyers. What it is going to do is will make you get rid of the repetitive tasks and will give you more creative work, will give you more new scope of work. Like imagine applying Article 14, 19 and 21 to a AI related case. That's more creative thinking, right? So you will be doing all such things in near future. Can AI create new jobs to replace those lost to automation? Yes. It's not AI which will create new jobs. It's this AI, use of AI, building of AI, or developing AI and deploying it. Those are two different concepts. Developing means you actually build that AI solution or tool. Deployment is you deploy onto a something, you sell that product. So in both these cases, you require different skill sets. If AI is here to stay, which is the case, which most of the countries, including India, have agreed that AI is going to be the future, then we have to upskill ourselves. AI will create new jobs in this case of information security, digital marketing, or machine learning. If you have to develop an AI, you have to learn machine learning. And now it's not required that you have to be an engineer to do machine learning or do coding. For if you see examples of big players like Google and all, they just test your IQ and then your interest in building, and then they will give you a job which to develop codes and build algorithms, etc. So you need to upskill yourself in a different area. It will definitely create jobs, as the study shows. Ma'am, there is a company called Do Not Pay that provides an application called Robot Law. What is your take on that? Okay, I haven't come across this thing. So if you can, if you wish to elaborate what it is and what its scope, I will be more than happy to answer that. What are the effects of AI on human society? So, so it is. This is what we discussed in this session. What are the effects of AI on human society? To summarize, it is here for good. It is here to help us. As I showed on screen, AI plus human beings means scaling of the work. It means automation. It means efficiency. It means cost-effective results. So that means we will develop economically if we are reducing time, if we can use that time somewhere else. If we are scaling our businesses, it is going to help us economically. That is how AI is going to help us. As I said, this giving diagnosing cancer itself was such a big task. Only rich people could afford going to those costly hospitals for diagnosing cancers. Now, radiologist job is done by AI, so which is a good sign, right? So it is helping human society. Ma'am, whom can we make liable if AI defames someone? Okay, what way is this? But since holding AI accountable or holding AI liable is an open debate that we have, this is still to be explored. But end of the day, there will be certain data that is fed. It is the user of AI who should be held liable, if you ask me. Currently, using the current logic and current laws that are applicable, it's vicarious liability or lifting the corporate veil kind of concepts that we already have. Using those kind of things, we can hold the person behind that AI tool liable for it. Ma'am, how ethical dilemmas related to autonomous vehicles can be sorted? I have my own doubts if at all these autonomous vehicles will be allowed. There are most chances of it being banned, especially in countries which are highly populated, like India, or like most growth markets like South Asian countries, etc. It's being experimented. Elon Musk has this car already ready, and it's being experimented. But that being allowed in other countries is the biggest challenge that we face. So in that, there is no ethical dilemma as such. If you are using a driverless car, the more harm is with respect to what happens if it malfunctions, what happens if it hits somebody. Those are the mostly liability or accountability aspects of it. Hope that answers your question. Ma'am, the session was quite interesting. AI is the creation of a few humans blessed with superior intellect. Continued research in AI is going to have solutions to every human situation. My doubt is whether AI will continue to be used by a minority for enslaving and controlling the vast majority of humans by a few who are experts in AI. The answer is no. Let me give you an example. Okay, so employment, right? So I was giving you an example of employment where we always have this perceived notion that AI is going to take away jobs, and only people who have AI in their hands or who are the owners of AI will control. There will be unequal distribution of wealth because they are the one who will control, and remaining all of us have to pay hefty fines to use it or find some other jobs, etc. But there are this can be addressed currently under the constitutional principles, right? uh, Unequal distribution, equality, you can challenge it if something of that sort is being introduced into the market. If you're talking about a future scenario, then there will definitely be a law around how to use it and how to make sure that it does not lead to unequal distribution of wealth. That's one of the main agendas of these international organizations, right? It is aimed at equal growth, equal opportunity, growing together. Hope that answers your question. There is emerging field of technology contracts. What is it exactly? Emerging field of technology contracts. Okay, if I understand your question, so you are asking what are the new things in the technology arena in terms of contracts, right? So the current one is the technology transfer. Like you have developed a technology, it can be AI or it can be any information technology. You want to sublease it, sublicense it to somebody else, who can manufacture. Like Tesla, let's take example of Tesla. Tesla owns the technology for driverless cars. If it wants to license it further to an Indian company which wants to build similar kind of technology, then there has to be a technology transfer agreement, a contract allowing the new company to use that technology for its own growth. It will have different aspects as to who will own the IP. If there is a new, if we modify, we Indians are good at modifying things, right? Coming up with improvisations and all. Who will be held responsible for those improvements? Who can own that IP on top of already existing IP? All these have to be detailed and elaborately covered before such agreements are executed. And there is lot of such agreements that are being discussed, agreed upon, executed currently. That's one of the main hot areas in technology industry. It's called as technology transfer agreements. Hope that answers your questions. If not, please let me know what is specifically your question. AI itself works based on the already fed data, and to elaborate on the same using even the copyrighted works as we see in ChatGPT and other AI applications. How far the sector is mature enough to address the moral and ethical issues? Okay. This is something very subjective to answer, but let me try giving you an answer here. So you are right. The AI fuel for AI to function is data. What kind of data we are feeding, only that output it is giving. It's not applying its mind. But let me tell you, there is AI is able to comprehend emotions. AI is able to self-learn. Like if you have fed it the data, and while using it, it can learn on its own. It can improvise the application on its own. That's the level in which AI is evolving. That's why there is a fear and urgent need to curtail the use of AI, regulate it so that human intervention is made part of it. It should not take decisions for human should take decisions for it. That's the strategy that's being discussed. As far as data is concerned, so as I said, this big data analytics and all, there is a law, data governance frameworks that are being discussed to curtail these kind of usages. They are making it mandatory for companies to refine the data accurately. Let me give you an example of my company only. What we do, since we are a global company, and different laws are being implemented or under draft stage at different stages, in such scenarios, how do we handle this situation? So what we are doing is we are coming up with our self-regulatory framework. So what we have done is we have listed out all the OECD principles. Okay, we have listed all the OECD principles, and whenever an AI is developed, right, so it goes through different levels of review. Different levels of review meaning there is a technical review to give you an perspective about whether that AI has any open source technologies, which is little onerous. Okay, that's more technical. Then there is a legal review to understand if that AI complies with the legal requirements in terms of currently ethical. Like is it transparent, is it giving you fair results, etc. Only when all these stages are passed, we allow that AI application or AI solution into the market. Until then, we do not do it. So there is definitely going to be a concrete framework. Until then, companies are adopting this kind of frameworks by themselves. Hope how far mature enough to address the moral and ethical issues? As I said, it's all self-regulation for companies for now, and it's going to be a different scenario when we'll have a concrete law in place. Ma'am, there is a company called Do Not Pay. Okay, I answer this question. Ma'am, how can we justify the use of AI in medical research? How can we trust it to be accurate? Sometimes the proponents of research also fail to predict unexpected outcomes. Okay. So I gave you example of clinical trials, right? So clinical trials are basically once you have a drug discovered, it needs to be tested, right? So that is what is called as clinical trial. So what it involves is the person or a rat or any animal that is put to test that clinical trial will have to be observed minute by minute, day by day, what are the changes it is facing, etc., right? So what AI does is it will track it accurately because it's machine. There is no scope for human error. We as human beings may skip on one or two steps, or we may go out for a coffee and there may be some change which we may not observe, etc. The use of AI is limited to this kind of activities, which is kind of automating the repetitive task with more accuracy, less error. So once we have accurate data, analyzing or getting a approval for that drug becomes easy. That's the scope of AI, use of AI in clinical trial, if that helps. Let me know if you're looking for any other specific answer. Can the liability of AI come under the scope of civil law and criminal law? Yes, it can be. It all depends. As I said, there are two ways in which we can handle this situation: either amend the existing law or come up with a comprehensive law. Few situations it can be even similar civil or criminal liability, depending on how our country legislature takes this approach. It is possible, and in the absence of any law regulations, we are relying on constitutional principles for this kind of scenarios. The session is some charging problems made me late. Okay, no problem. Thank you, ma'am, for answer. How can we trust AI in technology in the field of medical surgery of a human being? Okay, this is something, it's not used in any and every surgery, right? So it is used where human beings cannot enter. It is used where human, have you guys heard about angioplasty? This is a technology used to remove the blocks in your heart. So that is one technology which is used with the help of AI. So there is a needle which is directed through AI, which will go and unclear the blocks that you have in your heart. Human beings, if you have to do it, they have to do an open heart surgery, which is painful, which is time consuming, etc. The AI is making it easy by doing it within half an hour, and very next day you get discharged. So that's the use of AI. And it's I hope that answers your question. So there is one area that I also mentioned. What happens if the AI is being directed by a doctor outside, right, to go and unclear that block? What happens if there is an internet disruption, etc.? Those are some things that we will probably have to wait and watch. It will definitely be addressed, but we will have to wait for that to happen. Is it too much use of AI will infringe digital identity or concept of digital privacy of user or not? No, it won't, unless and until you expose yourself or your privacy to others. It will not infringe any of your identity. It is just helping you. It is your helping hand. It is not going to replace you or your identity. If you use it mindfully, probably it is going to be one of the greatest boon that we have seen so far in form of technology. But it's not going to do it on its own. Okay, so those are the questions that I see on the chart. So with that, I think we are on top of the hour also. Thank you so much. You have been lovely audience and very interesting questions. I enjoyed thoroughly.